to this week's episode of Success in Women. I'm Linda.
I'm Andrea.
And today we're going to be talking about mentorship. And if you want to find out what that's all about, stay tuned. But Andrew's got her tip of the week.
Hi, ladies. Well, I'm sure, like many of you, we all love broccoli. But I find when I bring the broccoli home and, to cut it all up and take off the hard pieces and get all the flowerets, it's a bit of a job. Anyways, I found this tip that you take a pot of boiling water, you stick the whole head in upside down, and you let it boil till it's fork tender. You pull it out and just chop, done. It's so easy to cut it up after. And you have, just throw it in a bowl, put your oil, vinegar, whatever.
You mean so you just keep the stem part sticking
out of the water.
Oh.
Right, and it just makes it so much easier.
Oh.
So I'm gonna try it. I haven't tried it yet, but I just saw it the other day and I thought, oh, wow, that would be so great.
I like broccoli.
I know, sometimes I avoid doing it because, you gotta chop it all up and then cut the flowers and whatever, but this way, they pulled it out, they took the knife, chopped at the end, and it kind of all just fell apart. It just looked like, wow. Yes, I can do that.
Wow.
And it would motivate me to cook it more often.
And it's a good, healthy vegetable
and
for your family.
And it sure is.
Yeah. So we decided that we wanted to talk about mentorship because I know for myself personally, I've been mentored. And actually, it's funny, when I first started in my other career, in my other life, I had this gentleman who had been very, very successful in sales. And he would run a class every Monday. And if you wanted to go, and it was a trek because I didn't live in the same city as he was, but he offered this training for free. And I thought, why not? I mean, I was new to,
Absolutely.
The business of sales because I was in the federal government before. So, you had a desk job and it's not the same. You're just given a task and you do it and that's it. Mm-hmm. In sales, it's much, much different. And he decided he was going to share because when he first started in business, he was told after he got qualified to get in the training program, he'd never make it.
Oh.
And he didn't want other people being discouraged because it's a new career.
Good for him.
Not only was he successful, but he was the number one salesman in his company.
Wow.
For years. I mean, it was kind of, making a lot of people eat crow kind of thing because they didn't think he would go anywhere with it. And so he decided in all the things that he learned over the years that he would share with other people that would come into the business, and he would do that. It was his time. He was not paid ever, and he kept this running. I know, it's good to give, and you pay that forward to somebody else.
Well, they say you get great satisfaction
out
of mentoring and seeing people succeed with your mentorship.
Yeah. He ran that program for years and it was amazing. But the thing about mentorship, and so I've been finding myself in a position sometimes where I've been having younger people that want to come into the business and they want some guidance and all that. And it's really nice for me to be able to give back.
Definitely.
But a lot of times we don't get asked. And this is the thing that even a lot of successful people have said. I would help a lot more people, but nobody ever asked me. And so sometimes when you do ask, they won't do it, but others will be more than willing because they get so much more satisfaction when they're helping other people succeed. But I also liken it to when you do something with other people, that if it's been something you've done a lot, and Andrew and I were talking about this, Andrew and I both do a lot of cruising, but when you get somebody that's, I'm going to say, a relatively newbie at cruising, there's a lot of things that they're not aware of.
Yes.
And if you can help and share that information.
Yes, and it excites you to be able to share with them all the things that you've learned over the years that, you wish you'd known when you first started.
Well, you know what I was thinking though? One time I was on a cruise and I was at the guest services and there were these first-time cruisers, and then they were trying to get help from the guest services, and I guess because there was a little bit of communication breakdown, the guest services person wasn't getting what they were really asking, and I knew exactly what they were asking, and so I just gave them the information. But I thought, wouldn't it be nice even on cruise ships if they could have some volunteer guests that would come every so often, and you could post that for people that are new to cruising, to get it from a passenger's perspective.
Right, the do's and don'ts.
Yes, because it's a lot different than what, they're going to tell you behind, I'll say, the counter on a lot of things. And Andrea, there's been so many different things that you wish you would have known. You found out along the way, maybe from other passengers, but you've had to learn that.
Right.
And I was thinking, there's always cruises with a lot of new people. If they knew that they could go and talk to other fellow passengers, just for stuff like that, what they need to know and what they should be aware of and how it can help. So, I have a trip planned that my brother, when this show is on, I'll be on a cruise with my brother. Excited about that. As somebody who's cruised a lot with somebody who's never cruised before, that I can mentor him in the cruising experience, and hope he loves it as much as I do. But I always enjoy going on a cruise with people that have never cruised, because it's fun to share, and I get excited because they're excited.
Watching their joy or how much fun they're having. And then, there's the odd people that don't like cruising and think that it's the worst vacation, but maybe they haven't had the right people with them, having fun, enjoying everything that there is to enjoy.
And that's a good point, not just for cruising, but I'll say, people who aren't necessarily making themselves successful in a particular career. They haven't had the right mentorship in order to help them succeed. Because if you're just kind of thrown into a job and you're expected to know everything, and it's impossible. I remember my assistant, when I first hired her many years ago, and she said she felt overwhelmed that she would never figure out the job. Well, it's because she didn't know it. She came from, I'm going to say, sales, but went to an office job. And that was a big transition for her. And the fact that I was able to help, I'm going to say, mentor her into this career, she's still doing it 20 years later.
And she's thriving.
And she's thriving because she enjoys it so much.
And you were a good leader, a good mentor.
But we need to do that with people, and it could be even, and Andrea, and this is where you're very good at, in parenting. Some people that are, I'll say, new to motherhood, but not always sure.
Well, the thing is too, a lot of things that the doctor might tell you, or the nurse, or professional people about, when you should start doing this, when you should start doing that, what age they should, or even on social media. It doesn't work for everybody. It's not one thing is for every child. And so I've always tried to help new mothers, because they should be toilet trained by now. Don't worry about it.
They will.
Do you think you're going to have a 10-year-old that can't go to the washroom? No, you won't. They will figure it out. Don't panic. I always try to calm them down. The same with eating habits, or when you should be giving them foods. Your child kind of lets you know when they're ready. And that's what I try to tell them. Don't think that just because Sally next door is already potty trained at 18 months that your child is a failure. Absolutely not. Your child will, my grandson, for example, to urinate, he was easy, no problem, but the other way was a little bit more difficult. And my daughter was, panicking, and I said, don't worry, he's good, it's going to happen. And everybody's trying to, this kind of a toilet seat, this fancy stair, I'll give you a candy, all this stuff. None of it works. When they're ready, they're ready.
Well, even I noticed people when they have little kids, and some are talking very early, and some are
Yeah,
not.
mhm.
And then people are freaking out that,
Right.
you know, maybe there's something wrong with their child because you're a nervous parent.
Yes.
And so having
First-time
somebody
parents, yeah.
to mentor you, because if you don't have, I'll say, a parent close by or a grandmother close by, somebody that could help you through this, it's
Calm your fears.
Yeah.
Because most of them are just unnecessary worries. That, I mean, okay, if by 2 years old you see different things happening, you could talk to your doctor about it. That's not an issue. But let the child progress at its own pace, because
yeah.
you know, if you're already pushing them and trying to force them when they're not ready, you're setting them up already
Yep,
for failure in the future, because they're going to be stressed over things. But you know, lay back, let them find their way, then you're going to have a child that is exactly like that, you know, not going to freak over every little thing or worry over little thing. The last thing you want to do is start raising your child at such a young age to worry about things, you know, and they can tell when their parent is stressed or worried about certain things, right? And like my grandson has a eating thing. He just loves certain foods. That's it. And I say to my daughter, don't worry about it. The doctor says he's healthy. He's growing at a great rate. He'll discover different foods later
My
on. My
nephew was the same situation. He didn't really want to eat most of the time, and the doctor said, don't worry about it. When he's hungry, he'll eat.
Yeah.
And he was very fussy, like your
Yes.
grandson. And today, oh my God, the guy eats everything.
Exactly.
Everything. So you don't have to
Exactly.
force all this stuff on. But that's what I'm talking about for the mentorship.
Because you might give them an unhealthy mental situation with food. If you're constantly talking about it, pushing it, worrying about it, let it go. Just let them, as long as the doctor says they're healthy.
That's why it's good to have somebody
Yes.
in your life that can help mentor you to be a better parent.
That's right.
Or again, something, you know, in your workplace. But then also, you have a mentor, give it back.
Give it back.
So that
Pay
you
it forward.
Pay
as
it
they
forward
say.
so that you look for people that you can help mentor in, you know, whatever area that you specialize in.
Yeah, that you specialize in. Exactly. And it could be anything.
Anything, absolutely.
You know, like my husband's a builder. So a lot of people will ask him, you know, what should I do about this? What should I do about that? Who should I call for this? And
He loves to help.
He loves to help. He's
Yeah.
more than happy to maybe pass a number on. Like, you know, it might not be a job that he would take on, but he might have a trade
Yeah.
that will come over and fix something for you. And, you know, that makes them feel good, and he's happy to do it.
But even Andrea, I know that even in the Weight Watchers that you do, you're always helping people to with the stuff that. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to get some water. Excuse me. I always have my water here.
That's good.
But I know that in the years we've talked about the Weight Watchers and the fact that when you discover something that will be very helpful, and even if you're not mentoring that person on an ongoing basis, you're always trying to help
Pass
other
information.
Yes, pass information that
Always.
you feel that would benefit them, and it might make them make it a lot easier to deal with. I'll say the point system or whatever it is,
Right.
because now you've discovered, okay, you can eat this particular bread because it has low points, which means sometimes you're more satisfied if you can have a sandwich. But if you don't
Exactly.
know about that,
Right. I know, because in saying that, when I joined the Weight Watchers, and my sisters would come over, and they'd ask me about, you know, because they could see that it was working. And I would say to them, listen, guys, buy this kind of bread, buy this kind of whatever I'm eating at the time, eat more protein, you know. So I tried to guide them, and you know, it really helped them a lot, because it's something they didn't think about.
right?
And they went home and they started following you know, my advice, and they did really well.
And that also makes you feel good that
Yes.
what you have, this knowledge that you can pass on.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll do the same to their
Like
friends or
everybody
somebody.
is so full of knowledge in
Right.
something. You know, find people to pass it on to. It's you know, especially grandchildren or your children, you know, things that you might have learned along the way. And
So we have a group. Well, it actually started off with a little bit about of a 6 people group, and it's called a mastermind. And we meet every couple of weeks online. There's people from right around the world, and we meet and we discuss, excuse me, things that are going on in our lives, and maybe if we have a challenge, how the group sees this challenge to help give us advice.
right.
And it's a form of mentorship doing these masterminds. Now, the group that I'm with, we've been since 2012, 22 years
Wow.
together. What we're finding right now, though, is we've lost members, we've gained members, we've lost members, we've gained members, because sometimes people
Life.
don't want to make that commitment.
Yeah.
And
And
it
it's
is a
not
commitment.
that big of a commitment, though, is it?
It's 1 hour every 2 weeks.
Oh, every 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So you kind of have to fit it into your schedule.
Yeah.
We try not to book things during that time, but there's things that sometimes can't be helped. And we're at a point now where it's been so beneficial for all of us that we're trying to recruit new members so that we can continue the group, because what happens now, if we're only the 3 consistent ones, if one of us is not there one
Right.
week, then we're only 2 people having a conversation.
Yeah.
We're not
Like
getting
you
a
and I.
perspective. That's right.
Our conversations,
And,
our
and
weekly
it's great,
conversations.
but sometimes you need some more perspective
Oh, definitely.
in helping to
well,
deal
when
with
you're
something.
dealing with certain challenges.
Right.
Us,
And-
we're just talking.
Yeah. But the thing is, and that's where, again, even if you join a mastermind, you're in a way being a mentor to other people in your group.
Right.
And it's really fantastic because you get so many benefits of, I'll say, somebody's perspective that you might not have thought of. And we have men and
Definitely.
women. And right now, because we're 3 people that are consistent, we're 2 women and 1 gentleman. But it was always good to have a gentleman's perspective, because
Yes.
sometimes your challenge is with men and you want to know what their thoughts
they're
are, because we
thinking.
don't think alike. That's why they talk about men are from Mars and women from Venus, men
Yeah.
from Mars, because a lot of stuff is just, we can't even understand each other because
Exactly.
our thoughts are different. We're built different.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to see it from a man's perspective, some things
Definitely.
to help you deal with this challenge, and makes it so much easier. And I love that about the mentoring of a mastermind. It's really great
Yeah.
wherever you are in life, because it can help you, because
So they have them all over, like you
oh,
can
you
join
can you can
all
create
different,
yes,
yeah.
and you can create your own
Your own?
mastermind. I know that there's a lady that I was talking with, and she has a mastermind group, and it's mostly for real estate and real estate investors and things like that.
Oh, that's
And
a
then they'll
great
share it. But
idea.
ours is not, I'll say, more or less pinpoint to anything. So we can all, now the thing that we happen to have in common is that we're all coaches. But
Okay.
we're all coaches in different areas of life.
Oh.
And so we have something that we can add to the group when they face these challenges, because we're already comfortable, like you and me. I'm comfortable talking in public. You're comfortable now talking in public. And so when you can, I'll say, do that now with whatever the challenge is, because you really just have to have that kind of background of being able to coach. You've coached people all your life, when you've coached your kids, when you've coached some of your
Curling.
friends in the coached in curling.
Curling, the
But
juniors,
it's really
yeah.
all mentorship.
Exactly.
And so these masterminds work fantastic if you have the commitment and the communication, because what's happened over our time is that sometimes people would just decide they don't want to come back. But they don't tell us. There's nothing wrong with just saying, you know what, I've decided I don't want to make the commitment anymore.
Right.
I'm not interested. I don't find enough value to it.
Right.
Just communicate that to us, because we
Exactly.
don't know if you're just off on some break because you're not well or something,
And you'll be back.
and you'll be back. So we can only have so many people. 6 is the ideal. 5 or 6
For a
people
master group?
for a mastermind group.
Oh.
And a lot of very, very, very successful people are part of mastermind groups.
Wow. So
And-
find one that suits your needs.
Right, because, and if you can find, especially people that are, I'll say, more successful in the area that you want to be in,
That's
that would really,
ideal.
it would be very ideal because they want to help you and you want to grow. And the
Yeah.
more you grow, the more you can help other people.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I love the mastermind groups, but where you can mentor people, and you know, you see it all the time with, I'll say, little league coaches and stuff.
Yeah,
That's why
everyday
people
life,
get
everyday life.
people
yeah.
get involved in that because they want to share
What
and
they-
help
yeah,
people
They
to
love
grow.
to teach and they
Yeah.
love to help, and they love what they do, and it keeps them
Yes.
involved in the sport.
It's always
in the
exciting though
Exactly.
when you see it through other people's eyes, especially when you're helping them, and then you
Right.
see them getting so much better. That's what coaches are. Coaches
Right.
are mentors, and it's really, I don't know. I think that ladies, if you start looking around, you might find yourself a group, or you may want to start a group with like-minded people. And again, they don't all professionally have to be the same. You can have people that are just, I'll say, you know, in my case, I'm in sales, but the others are not necessarily in sales. They're different type of coaches. Or you might have somebody that is a domestic goddess because you still run into challenges in everyday life that maybe
Exactly.
we can share information kind of thing. And so
Exactly.
you can have anybody in your group, but they really have to have that commitment. And
Yeah.
because to make mentorship work, it's got to be a two-way street. You have to be
Exactly.
open, and you had mentioned this earlier, Andrew, when we talked. If you are trying to mentor somebody that's not open to change, you're wasting
You're
your time.
wasting your time. Exactly. And you should, and you could, like I say, you have to be teachable. And some people just aren't. They have their own ways, their own ideas. And so you're wasting your breath and your time trying to teach them when they're not receptive. To
Receptive,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Success in Women on Mentorship. I think if you look around, you can find yourself one because we can all grow.
Right.
And then of course, look around maybe to somebody that might be struggling that you can help share
You can help.
some of your experiences
Exactly.
with. So
Great
if you,
idea.
So if you like it,
Share.
subscribe because it's women helping women.
Yes.
I'm Linda.
I'm Andrea.
We'll see you next week.
Have a great week, ladies.